Woohoo! We are recording, and this is the Math 40 Chapters 6 and 7 practice test. Woo! Yay! Pardon me. And note, this is a 60-point test. I just couldn't choose. I gave you all the problems. And in fact, that's not even true. I left a bunch out. But I think this is a pretty good test, but it is a slightly longer test. So I anticipate, unless I get through the problems extra fast, there will probably be 2 parts. So this is part 1. Woohoo! Okay, so this is a practice test, which when you take it online, you've got unlimited time, and you can take it as many times as you like. But remember that the way that these are ordered, the way that the problems and the solutions are ordered may be slightly different. You'll want, for sure, to have a calculator. I always encourage you to have a calculator. And then I'm also going to have a couple other sheets to help you out, things to help you remember things. Remember, on practice tests, it's open book if you'd like. Okay, so this first problem, starting right off the bat with Chapter 6, we're going to factor a trinomial. Woohoo! Oops, and right there, I started to do a plus when it should be a minus. Sorry about that. This is exactly why I rewrite the problem, so that I can see in my original problem, which I don't touch, whether there are any mistakes. So I copied it down correctly. Now, remember that when you're factoring, you want to factor out common factors first. So the trick here is to figure out what the common factors are. And in this case, I'm looking through it and I see some A's and some B's and some numbers. And so what I will probably do is write out each term all the way. What does that mean? Well, 6, I happen to know, is 3 times 2. A to the 4th is A, and a B. 3 is prime, so I'll write 3, and then there are 3 A's and a B. Now, 45 happens to be, if I come up here, pardon me, Octopus, I'm going to put you in the ocean there. 45 happens to be 3 times 15. If you're not sure, again, use your calculator. Calculators are allowed on the tests and the practice tests. It's 3 times 15, which is in turn 3 times 5. So here I've got a 3 and a 3 and a 5. So I've got 5 times 3 times 3, and then a squared b, so a,b. So I've expanded everything. Now, you do not have to do this, but I find it useful because I can go through and I could say, okay, who is a matching thing? I've got a matching 3 for sure. I've got a 2 here. There's no 2 here, so 2 doesn't match. There's a 5 here, but no 5 in these. So that's it for the numbers. I have 4 A's here, 3 A's here, and 2 A's here. So the only things they have in common are the 2 A's, just the 2 A's. I can only pull out 2 A's. And then we take a look and we say, is there anything else in common? And the answer is yes, absolutely. There's a B in each of these. Okay, so first step, let's factor out the 3, the A and the B. So that's the pink, the 2 yellow, and then the blue. And of course, if the colors don't help, and if factoring it out quite this much is you're looking at this going, seriously? Do we have to do this? The answer is no, you don't. This is helpful for me because sometimes my brain, when I'm inputting and outputting information, it does interesting little dancy things with numbers. So this helps me to see what's going on in a way that's slightly different than just the numbers. So I add colors, I add pictures. That helps me keep some of my, interesting dancing numbers in check. So let's see who's left. I've got a 2 and then these two A's. So I've got 2AA plus, let's see, in this middle term, looks like the only thing I have left is an A. And then in this last term, I've got a 5 and a 3. It's just a whole bunch of stuff, a 5 and a 3. So minus 5 times 3. There we go. And you can always double check by multiplying through. All right, you could try 3a squared b times 2a squared. That's 6a to the 4th b. That's what I have in the first term. 3a squared b times a, that's 3a cubed b. That's what I have in the second term. And then 3a squared b times negative 15. 3 times negative 15 is negative 45, a squared b. And that's what I've got there. So now all that I have to do, is factor this trinomial, which I would claim, I hope you would agree, is an easier trinomial than to try to factor this one. So I think we have definitely made this easier. So let's keep going. Now I've got 3 terms. This is a trinomial. So your choices are we can use trial and error. We can use the AC method. And if you studied it, we can use the X method. The X method isn't in the book. It's a video that I made. So if you happen to see the X method, let me see if I have it here. I have so many things sitting here. There it is. The X method was this one. It's a little bit complicated. It's a very cool way of doing the AC method. So a little different. You can see a video for that. If I were smart enough, I would put links, but I don't know if I'm not smart. So we'll see. Maybe I'm not smart. Maybe I'm not. So we've got a couple choices. For this one, I think I'm going to go ahead and use the AC method because I think that is very commonly taught in high schools now, and I see a lot of students using it. So let's go ahead and use it in this case. So let's choose the AC method. Again, I'm just choosing this at random. You've got 3 options, so whichever one you like the best. So I'm going to be very clear here. I'm just doing the 2a squared plus a minus 15. Some people, if you've had enough practice, you could actually factor this just in your head. That's a possibility too. Remember, by the time we're done factoring, we're going to need to come back and remember the 3a squared b. Don't forget that. Okay, so I've got 2a squared plus a minus 15, and I realize my first ugly coincidence. The AC method uses the letters lowercase a, lowercase b, lowercase c, and I have an a, and that's my variable, not my coefficient. So this is going to possibly be a little bit confusing, but what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to say, okay, I've got a 2, and then what's the coefficient for this one? You're right, it's a 1. And the coefficient here, the constant coefficient is 15. So what I'm supposed to do is I'm supposed to take 2 and multiply it times 15, right? You take these 2, the A and the C. I know it's confusing because there are too many A's running around, but the first one and the last one get multiplied together, and we get negative 30, and that's supposed to be the product of 2 secret numbers. And what are the secret numbers? We don't know yet. We're going to have to figure those out. Okay. Then I take the middle number, that coefficient of the number in the middle, and that's supposed to be the sum of the 2 numbers. So we need 2 numbers that when added together gives 1, but when multiplied together gives negative 30. So that's the AC method written out. Okay, so let me move this out of the way so I've got a little bit more space. I don't think I'm going to finish this on this page. Let's see. So what I need to do is I need to come up with two numbers like -3 times 10. And then I say -3 plus 10 is 7. And I want the sum of the two numbers to be 1. So that's not correct. Let's see. I could try 5 times -6. 5 plus a -6 is -1. That's not correct, but we're really close, right? If I get to -1 and I want to get to 1, so let me try -5 times 6. -5 plus 6 is 1. Yay! I did it! And yet I've run out of room. Okay, so let me go to the next page. I have a handy dandy extra piece of paper here. So what I find out, pardon me, oh my goodness, is that my yellow number is -5, and my blue number is a +6. Now, I can already hear you. Oh, look, Godzilla is trying to climb out from under. I can already hear you wondering out loud, but wait, what if I got 6 first and then -5? And I will tell you, the cool thing about the AC method is it does not matter. So you just have to find two numbers in either order, which when multiplied give you the two ends multiplied together. So you remember the multiplied is the multiplied. And then the one in the middle is the added one. They have to add together to give you the coefficient in the middle. And once we know what those two numbers are, so this is number 1, continued. If I can spell continued. So I know that my two numbers are, my yellow number is -5 and my blue number is 6. And then the next part of the AC method comes up. So let's take a look at what the next part. Remember that the next part is, once you know what the yellow and the blue are, you split the middle term into the yellow and the blue. What does that mean? So I'm going to take 2a² plus a minus 15, and the middle term is going to become 2a² plus, and then yellow, and then blue minus 15. So I put off coloring this so I could color it all together. There we go, the blue ones on the yellow ones. We find these two numbers which we use to split up. So we add 1 times a, and in place of that, I'm going to put in a -5a plus a 6a. Now, -5a plus 6a is a. So I'm just splitting this up. I'm not changing the value. I'm changing the way it's written, but I'm not changing the value of what we've got written down there. Okay, so now I've got 2a². Oops. I can already tell you it's going to be a whiteout night, huh? Woohoo. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. So I write this out, and then the next step is, if you remember, because this is multiple steps, once you've got it written like that, then you use grouping, because now you have 4 terms. So we use grouping to factor. This is always the same with the AC method. And then, so I say what's common here, and I see the common factor is an a. So it's a times 2a minus 5. And here, the common factor is actually a 3. 3 out of 6a is 2a. 3 out of -15 is minus 5. My goodness, aren't we happy and lucky and all those things? Ooh, those two match. So remember what I'm going to do is I'm going to factor this out as a plus 3 times the quantity 2a minus 5. It's rather than saying a times 2a minus 5 and 3 times 2a minus 5, you're saying it all together. You're bringing both of these together and just saying it all at once. A plus 3, that quantity times the quantity 2a minus 5. And then this is factored. And you could always check by multiplying out. If you're not sure, if you're like, this is a really long process, so let's go ahead and check. A plus 3, that quantity times 2a minus 5, use FOIL. A times 2a is 2a squared. A times a negative 5 is negative 5a. 3 times 2a is plus 6a. 3 times negative 5 minus 15, and that gives us 2a plus a minus 15. That's what we were going for. That's what we were factoring. And are we done? And Godzilla and Sharktopus both send out the alarm, ooga, ooga, because you've got to remember that in the original problem, oh my goodness, there's just math. It's a mathalanche. Avamath? Mathalanche? Math avalanche? Anyway, math is coming down all over. Flames are coming up. It's very exciting. But if you recall, right here in the beginning, we factored out the 3a squared b. Do not forget this. At the end, when we think we're done, and we've got the a plus 3, and we've got the 2a minus 5, we need to remember to stick in the 3a squared b, which we factored out in the beginning, and then we've done it! We factored the whole thing! This one's from first page. Right, so this came out of the very beginning. Can I make this all work together and not cause another mathalanche? When we factored out the 3a squared b so that we've got an easier trinomial to work with. So we have the 3a squared b, and then we've got the 2a squared plus a minus 15 also factored. Woohoo! Oh my goodness, that was just number 1. As I said, this is a long test. So we will be splitting this up into at least 2 videos, perhaps more. But let's go ahead and see how many more problems we can do before I think, oh, okay, I'm done and I need a break. That's the great thing about practice tests, is you can take them all at once, or take a problem, take some time off. You can do problems. You can take the test over and over if you want to practice. Lots of wonderful things. So for number 2, factor these polynomials, and then you'll see right here, it's like, what do you mean these polynomials? And the answer is there's another one over here. So for part A, I've got 36a squared minus 81b squared. Okay, that is 2 terms. If I'm trying to factor 2 terms, the first thing I think, oh, well, let me not, I'll pretend I didn't think of that. If I've got 2 terms, oh, I'm looking at the wrong one. Oh, drat. Oh my goodness, tonight is a night. There we go. That's the one I wanted. The one I showed you was also factoring. So sum and difference of squares, or sum and difference of cubes. And why do I know that I'm looking at sum and difference of squares? Well, I've got 2 terms, and I've got a squared and b squared, right? So that's just yelling. It's like, those are squares. I've got a difference, and I'm all set to do it. And then Sharktopus and Godzilla both, ooga. So what is the warning? The warning is always look for common factors first. Are there any common factors? And I'm sitting here waiting for a blank screen to respond, which is just brilliant, brilliant of me. Well, it turns out that if we think about 36, 36 is 9 times 4. or 4 times 9. 81 is 9 times 9. They actually have a common factor of 9. So I can factor out the 9, and then I have 4a squared minus 9b squared. So even though this looks just like a difference of 2 squares right there, make sure you always check that common factor, the common 9. Let me try not to take you to Smearytown. Oop, I already took you to Smearytown. Sorry about that. Okay, so now let's look at just what's inside here. 4a squared minus 9b squared. Again, I'm going to be dangerous. I'm going to leave this 9 up here, and I'm going to work without it because it simplifies, what I'm doing, and I'll come back to it. So I just want to look at this, and I want to see if I can put it in this form. And again, it's awkward. I've got a's and b's, and I've got a's and b's. So remember, or I should say forget the letters, just think about the format. What should the format be? The format should be something squared minus something squared. That's a difference of 2 squares. And the cool kids call it difference of squares, but it's officially called the difference of 2 squares. Can I make 4a squared into something squared? And the answer is yeah. That's 2a, the quantity squared. Because the 2 gets squared and the a gets squared. Remember, we Oprah that 2 to everybody. So 2 squared is 4, a squared is, a squared. Now, what about 9b squared? Can I make that into something, the whole thing of which is squared? And the answer is yeah. That's 3b squared. So 3 squared gives us the 9, b squared gives us the b squared. Okay, so then what do we do with that? Well, can you see it? Remember that if I have something squared minus something squared, then I do the plus 1 and the minus 1. What does that mean? It means I get 2a plus 3b and 2a minus 3b. And I hear you asking, can I reverse those? And I say, yes, absolutely, because this is multiplication. So these 2 terms can come in either order. Does not matter. Okay. Should I put a box around this? Oh, no, because I got to remember the 9. So the big one, this one's just kind of a little one where we're just working on this part, just that part. But for the whole factoring, I've got the 9 on the outside, the 2a plus 3b, 2a minus 3b, right? Because this comes from here, which comes from here. Sorry, we ended up in Smearytown, even though I tried not to. And the 9 comes from up here. And now I can draw a box around it. That is completely factored. Woohoo! So now what happens if you factor this and you forget the common factors? Well, if you do that, you got a couple options. You just start over, get another piece of paper and do it again. Or check when you're done, say 2a plus 3b, do they have anything in common? And if they do have something in common, then you factor that out. So it's okay to do these in multiple steps. Okay, that's 2a. We're getting through. Let's see if we can do at least one more, if not a couple. Let's see how long it takes. This one, oh, you can't see it all. It's mysterious. Here we go. This one is 12 a.m. minus 15 b.m. minus 8 a.t. plus 10 bt. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. 4 terms means grouping. Let me write this to the side. 4 terms means grouping, which we've already done one of in this video. That's when we break these 2 up. And then I hear you already. You're like, wait, check for common factors. Yes, let's check. Okay, let's see. To get between these two, I only have m's in common and I have a 3. Now I look over here, are there any m's? No. Now these two do share a's, these share m's, these share b's, these share t's, but do all of them share a variable? No. Do all of them share a number, a constant? Let's see, the 12 means you've got 2's and 3's. 15 means you've got 3's and 5's. 8 is all 2's. 10 is 2's and 5's. And again, it's a mix, but is there any number that goes into all of them? And the answer is no. There are no common factors. Okay, so note, no common factors. So we didn't forget it. There just aren't any. Okay, let's go back to the grouping. Now, what grouping says is it says if there's nothing common to all of them, try just 2 at a time. So, what is common between 12 and 15? You're right, there's a 3. So if I just look at these two, I can factor out a 3 right there. And I can also factor out an m. And let's see what's left. In this first one, I've got the 4 and the a. And in the second one, I've got a 5 and a b. When I factor out 3m. Okay. 8at times 10bt. Oh, they've got 2's, right? They're both even. So this is 2 times 4at plus 2 times 5bt. I'm going to factor out, remember, if there's a minus in the middle, leave it in the middle. I'm going to factor out a 2 and a t. And then this one, if I factor out the 2 and I factor out the t, here I have 4a. Now be really careful. What comes after the 4a? Definitely a 5b here. What's the sign? Well, you got a couple options. One is you can look over here and say it better be a minus. But do we know for sure it's a minus? And the answer is, pardon me, Sharktopus. Sharktopus and Godzilla are going to do a little bit of synchronized swimming. La-di-da-da. You know when they go upside down? They're not drowning. It's synchronized swimming. So I'm going to borrow their sticks, though. Their puppet sticks. A plus is just 2 minuses stuck together. So if you have a plus and you pull one of the minuses out, you've got a minus left. Again, let me show you. If you have a plus and you pull a minus out, you've got a minus left. Thank you, guys. Or ladies. So I don't know if we ever know what how Sharktopus identifies other than as a carnivore. So I'm not sure. Folks, thank you, folks. So if I have a plus here and I factor out a minus to what's left in the middle, a minus. And then these two match. Yay! Life is good. And if you're looking at this saying, oh my goodness, I don't like these dots, then my suggestion to you is that you don't use them. The little dots actually help me keep track of where things are. That the 3 was a single dot and the M was a double dot and the 2 was a single dot and the T was a double dot. That helps me. If it does not help you, do not use it, right? This is, you do you. And, but I believe that all of us doing what we do factored this. Yay! Now I'm going to take a peek at the next one. What is the next one? Let's go ahead and give it a try. We're right around 30 minutes, but I happen to know that there's a word problem in the next section. So let's go ahead and do this one now, and then we'll take a break because the second set is going to have 3 problems as well. So the problem is to solve this equation. And then when we're all done, I realize I never went through and circled the correct answers. So we'll go back and do that at the very end. Sorry about that. Wow, that must have been confusing. Oh. You'd think you can just drink coffee to keep yourself up so you can make videos. It turns out it's not as helpful as you might think. Okay, so I've got this equation. Now, hopefully you've been doing the homework so you recognize that what you're going to need to do is we're going to have to multiply this out so we can move the 16 over, because the key here, because we're going to end up with x squareds, the key here is going to be 0. So let's go ahead and multiply out over here. So I'm going to use FOIL. 3x times 4x minus 3x times 4 minus 2 times 4x plus 2 times 4 equals 16. So let's see, I've got 12x squared minus 12x minus 8x plus 8 equals 16. So in other words, 12x squared, and then I combine these two, minus 20x plus 8 equals 16. And then I got to go one more step, subtract 16 from both sides, so that I end up with 12x squared minus 20x. 8 minus 16 is minus 8 equals 0. And it's very important that I have 0 on one side of the equation. Woohoo! Yay! Okay, so the next step is that I have to factor. And the first thing that I notice is that 12, 20, and 8 are all even numbers. And in fact, when I think about it, 4 goes into 12, 4 goes into 20, and 4 goes into 8. So believe it or not, I'm going to factor out a common factor. So I'm going to factor out a 4. So 12x squared, factor out the 4 is 3x squared. Minus 20x, factor out the 4 is minus 5x. And minus 8, factor out the 4 is negative 2. I still need to factor this. I'm going to go ahead and throw caution to the wind, and then I'm going to use, since we just used it, I'm going to use it again just to get a second practice. We're going to use the AC method. Again, can you use trial and error? Absolutely. Can you use the X method? Absolutely. Can you use a factoring calculator you found on the internet? For the practice test, sure, but it won't help you learn it. So I would encourage you to use one of these methods and get really good at them. So let's think about how to do this. So again, just like I did before, this is in descending order. I've got x squared, x, and the constant. My first number is 3. My second number is negative 5. And my last number is negative 2. I'm going to take the first and the last, the A and the C, and I'm going to multiply them. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. And this, when you multiply these two, you get the secret numbers multiplied. And then I'm going to take the one in the middle, just the negative 5, and that's going to be the secret numbers added. So now I need two numbers which, when they're multiplied, give me negative 6. Oh, sorry, that's smearing. And when they're added, give me negative 5. Okay, so let's see. Negative 6 is 6 times a negative 1. 6 plus a negative 1 is 5. Is that the number I was looking for? It's close, but not quite. Let me try switching the minus here. How about a negative 6 times 1? Negative 6 plus 1 is negative 5. Oh my gosh, we got it. We got it. Yay! Our secret numbers are negative 6 and 1. See if you can see this. hopefully these aren't too dark, -6, and 1. Okay, those are my two special numbers, which when multiplied give me -6, but when added give me -5. Okay, then what do we do with those? Well, then we get some more paper. These are not short problems. So, lots of paper. So I had 3x squared minus 5x minus 2. And I'm going to take the middle term and expand it. So I get 3x squared minus 6x. Why is it x? Because this was x, minus 6x plus 1x, right, because the second number was 1, minus 2. So this is just a sneaky way of expanding. It's kind of like a hint. It helps you figure out how to break this up so that then we can use grouping. So grouping, I look at 3x squared minus 6x and I think, ooh, 3x is common. What's left? X minus 2. And then here, I look at these two and I go, oh no, there's nothing common there. Uh-oh, I've got a 1x and a minus 2. What's common? And if nothing matches up, you just put in a 1. All right, because 1 times x minus 2 is x minus 2. Okay, but then these two do match. Look at that. The x minus 2's match, even though one of them's a little smeary. So then I get 3x plus 1 times x minus 2. Woohoo! Okay, so remember, this is equal to 3x squared minus 5x minus 2. Okay, so are we done? Do I just put a box around this? No, no, what we have to do is we go back to the previous page and we go, okay, what were we doing? Oh my goodness. So this was all factor, factor, factor. This is all the AC test. Or sorry, you guys don't call it that. That's one book called it that. This is the AC method now. Ooh, see, it's the problem. You change books and then you confuse all the math teachers. This is the same bug that comes to, he hangs out and he tries, look at him. He's just sitting there trying to be like, I'm not really here trying to learn math. But seriously, this is the most well-educated little gnat. So this all is the AC method. Okay, sorry little guy, I have to move you, pardon me. There you go. Okay. So we had 4 times 3x squared minus 5x minus 2. Okay, so from first page, we had that guy, right, equal to 0. But we now know that we can factor this further, and we can factor it to 3x plus 1, x minus 2, the whole thing equals 0. Now, the 0 property says if you get 0 by multiplying things together, no matter how many things there are, one of them has to equal 0. Now, this 4 can't equal 0, so that's just silly. 4 can't be 0, so we just exclude that. We've got 3x plus 1 equals 0, or x minus 2 equals 0. This is called the 0 property. Okay, so I'm gonna skip that one because that one's looking a little intimidating. I've got a plus 2 or a plus 2, x equals 2. And then here, okay, I'll go ahead and do it. 3x equals -1. And then if I divide both sides by 3, I get x equals -1/3, or x equals 2. Okay, so what did I forget to do for all these problems? I forgot to circle the correct answers. I was so excited about getting done that I didn't actually do the problem. So let's come up here. Let's see if, hopefully, fingers crossed, -1/3 and 2 are a solution set. My possible answer is no solution. Not... Ooh, look, right there. Bam. Woohoo. Okay, let's go ahead and see if we can do that for the previous problems. How about number 2b? Number 2b, we got the answer 3m minus 2t times the quantity 4a minus 5b. That's this one right here. Oops, sorry. That was a very excited big circle. And really an ellipse, but let's... Ellipse, circle, you know, they're close. They have a lot of the same properties. Not exactly the same. I'm looking for 9 times the quantity 2a plus 3b, 2a minus 3b. And I see it right there. And then let's see, number 1. Number 1, which we finished, it took us 2 pages. I've got 3a squared b, a plus 3, 2a minus 5. And it looks like that's the first one too. Yay! So I win the award for not remembering to mix my answers very well. But you can see all the answers are there. Yay! This video is now, oh my goodness, 42 minutes long. And so I'm going to go ahead and end it here. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave these 2 cards up. In case you want to take a quick screenshot of those 2 that we used. The sum and difference of squares and the AC method. And I will see you in the next video. Woohoo! Eat some vegetables, get out, get some rest, get some sunshine, and math on.